The most dangerous lie we ever tell ourselves is that the version of us who exists tomorrow will somehow be more capable than the version of us who exists today. We treat the future version of ourselves like a superhero, a person with infinite discipline, boundless energy, and a supernatural immunity to distraction. We push our dreams, our health, and our responsibilities onto this future stranger, convinced that when Monday rolls around or when the new month starts, we will magically transform into the person we've always wanted to be. But the truth is that tomorrow is a ghost. It is a shifting horizon that recedes every time we take a step toward it. When we delay the work, we aren't just resting. We are practicing the habit of waiting. We are training our brains to believe that the start is a destination rather than a choice. We become masters of the setup, experts in the preparation, and professionals in the art of the reset, all while our actual lives remain stuck in the exact same place they were a year ago. This is the story of Jenny, a woman who owned the world's most beautiful planners but lived a life that was perpetually under construction. And the afternoon Jenny realized that tomorrow was the cage that was keeping her from her own potential. For Jenny, life was a series of immaculate Sundays. Every Sunday evening, Jenny would sit at a perfectly organized desk, lit by the warm glow of a scented candle. Jenny would open a brand new notebook and write out a list of goals that would make a CEO blush. Jenny would plan the 5:00 a.m. wake-up calls, the 3-mile runs, the deep work sessions for the business Jenny wanted to launch, and the healthy meals Jenny intended to prep. In those moments of planning, Jenny felt incredible. Jenny felt productive just by writing the words down. Jenny would look at the list and feel a rush of dopamine, convinced that this was the week everything would change. Jenny would go to sleep with a sense of triumph, believing that future Jenny was finally ready to take over. But when Monday morning arrived, future Jenny was nowhere to be found. Instead, there was just the same Jenny, the one who was tired, the one who found the room too cold, the one who thought one more hour of sleep was more important than a 3-mile run. By Tuesday, the schedule was already slipping. By Wednesday, Jenny felt the familiar weight of guilt and shame. Instead of pushing through the friction, Jenny would decide that the week was already ruined, and that it would be better to just wait until next Monday to have a clean start. Jenny became a professional at the reset. Jenny spent more time buying new pens and downloading productivity apps than Jenny spent actually doing the work. Jenny was stuck in the tomorrow loop, a cycle where the excitement of the plan was used to mask the terror of the performance. The struggle for Jenny wasn't a lack of ambition, it was a deep-seated fear of being average. As long as Jenny was planning, Jenny's potential remained infinite. In Jenny's head, the business was already a success, the body was already fit, and the life was already perfect. But the moment Jenny actually started, the moment Jenny wrote the first clumsy sentence of a business plan or struggled through the first mile of a run, Jenny would have to face the reality that she was a beginner. Laziness for Jenny wasn't about being tired. It was a sophisticated defense mechanism. If Jenny never truly started, Jenny could never truly fail. The slow burn realization began to simmer during a weekend visit to Jenny's childhood home. Jenny was helping her mother clear out some old boxes in the attic, a task Jenny had promised to do for 3 years and had finally run out of excuses to avoid. As Jenny moved a heavy crate of old textbooks, a small, dusty, leather-bound book fell out. It was a diary Jenny had kept during her final year of college, nearly 7 years ago. Jenny sat on the dusty floor and began to flip through the pages. At first, it was nostalgic, but as Jenny read further, a cold, hollow feeling began to grow in Jenny's chest. On a page dated 7 years prior, Jenny found a weekly reset list. It was almost identical to the one Jenny had written the previous Sunday. The same goals were there. Start the blog, master French. Wake up at 5:00 a.m. Prove I can do this. Page after page, year after year, the entries were the same. It was a record of 7 years of Mondays that never arrived. Jenny saw a younger version of herself making the exact same promises to a future version of herself that still hadn't shown up. Jenny realized with a jarring clarity that Jenny had spent nearly a decade in a waiting room. Jenny had been waiting for a feeling of readiness that was never going to come. Jenny saw that the tomorrow Jenny had been banking on for 7 years had already passed her by. The future Jenny she had been waiting for was supposed to be the woman reading that diary, yet that woman was still sitting on the floor, still planning, still waiting, and still stuck. The realization wasn't a sudden explosion. It was a heavy, quiet settling of the truth. Jenny wasn't lazy because she lacked energy. Jenny was lazy because she was waiting for permission from a version of herself that didn't exist. The turning point came an hour later, after Jenny's mother walked into the attic. Her mother looked at the diary and then at Jenny's face. She didn't offer a motivational quote. She simply pointed to an old, rusted bicycle in the corner of the attic that Jenny had intended to fix up when she was 16. Her mother told Jenny that things don't stay the same when you leave them alone. They rot. She said that human potential is the only thing in the universe that creates more weight the less you use it. She told Jenny that if Jenny didn't start using her life, the weight of what she could have been would eventually crush her. Jenny didn't wait for Monday this time. Jenny didn't go buy a new planner or watch a video on how to overcome procrastination. That evening, in the dim light of the attic, Jenny took out her phone and performed the most uncomfortable task on her list. Jenny didn't aim for perfection. Jenny aimed for a dirty start. Jenny emailed a local business mentor she had been researching for months. Jenny's heart hammered against her ribs, and the old voice in her head screamed that she wasn't ready, that her email wasn't polished enough, and that she should wait until she had a better pitch. Jenny hit send anyway. The next morning, when the alarm went off at 5:00 a.m., Jenny didn't feel like a superhero. Jenny felt exhausted. Jenny felt like staying in bed. But Jenny remembered the diary. Jenny remembered the 7 years of Mondays that had vanished into the ether. Jenny realized that the only way to prove herself was to stop trying to be future Jenny and start being the Jenny who is willing to be uncomfortable right now. Jenny got out of bed, not because she was motivated, but because she was tired of being a spectator in her own life. Over the next few months, the loop began to break. Jenny stopped focusing on the reset and started focusing on the repeat. Jenny learned that the first 1% of any task is where the most laziness lies. And once you push through that initial wall of resistance, the work begins to carry its own weight. Jenny discovered that proving yourself isn't a grand, one-time event. It is a series of small, mundane victories over the urge to hide. Jenny's business didn't become a sensation overnight, and Jenny didn't become a master of French in a month, but Jenny was finally in the game. The tomorrow Jenny had stopped being a fantasy and started being a result of what Jenny did today. We often believe that laziness is a character flaw, a permanent part of who we are. We think we are just not the type of person who gets things done. But laziness is simply the gap between who you are and who you are pretending you'll be tomorrow. Every time you say, "I'll start Monday," you are voting against yourself. You are telling your subconscious that your current self isn't worth the effort. To prove yourself, you don't need a better plan, a more aesthetic workspace, or a surge of inspiration. You just need to realize that the person you are waiting for is never coming. The version of you that is disciplined, fearless, and tireless is a myth. All there is and all there will ever be is the version of you that is tired but tries anyway. The version of you that is scared but starts anyway. The version of you that is bored but stays anyway. Stop trying to find a cleaner way to begin. Stop looking for a version of the path that doesn't have any mud. Your life is happening right now, in the messy, imperfect middle of a random afternoon. If you want to prove what you are capable of, stop looking at the calendar and start looking at your hands. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it today.